Okay, here we are, guys. It's going to be another fun night. And as Jesse Kelly would say, let's have some fun. Yeah, we're going to have fun, all right. Hopefully, not at the expense of those who deserve to be poked. But it may end up being that way anyway, because the stuff I've learned today is, well, mind bending. It qualifies as mind bending. And just as a spoiler alert, you notice truancy in Connecticut is huge. So let me just give you the headline stat. Managed to find some data from the state of Connecticut, and it is disappointing. Let's put it that way. So first of all, there's the word truancy up there. So what exactly is truancy? Let's just say you don't go to school as often as you should. Okay. So to get into the truant category, to be a truant in the public education system, I believe you either need to be absent 4 days in a row or 10 days in a month, which is, I think a fair number. In Connecticut, hold on to your hat. It varies, but it can get as low as 65,000, say, and it will be as high as 90,000 students who at various times are truant in the Connecticut public education system. Ladies and gentlemen, that is somewhere in the vicinity of 15 to 18% of the student population at one time or another not attending school. All right, I guess, do I sound like an old school marm or something? And just like, these naughty boys, they really should be doing what they're expected to do. Maybe, but I'm sorry. It's also a sign that kids are not learning, that they're not doing well in school, that the test scores look bad. Yeah, this all reflects poorly on our future. But then again, I don't mind bringing up that famous saying from Mark Twain, which is, I never let school get in the way of my education. So there's that. But I think school can do better. I've always believed that school can do better. See what's Ricky? See, by the way, the Vatican is corrupt as corrupt can be. Yeah, well, we've known that for some time, DJ Ricky. That's right. Well, anyway, you have received the invite as well, and hopefully you'll be joining us here forthwith. If you don't have a job tonight, we'll see. Okay, so this is part of a huge number of problems. So I guess, I don't know, we're going to get into this again because I've kind of set this up. These are like bookends as far as what's going on in Connecticut tonight. All right, I came from the annual conference for homeschooling today. It was great to see a lot of families there, speakers, classes, discussions, vendors selling things. It was just a wonderful thing to see. So, just to share it with you, and the point I'm about to make is the one that really gets to the next part. All right, I need to be clear here. I understand. Not everybody is as concerned with education as I am. Okay? When it comes to me, I'm a nut job about what's going on with education. So bear with me. All right. What would I like to pick on first? I would like to pick on the fact that we have a state government now that has decided to, as far as I'm concerned, assault families in Connecticut over homeschooling. And by the way, this has been going on for some time now. This law that was signed by Governor Lamont in May is just a ramping up of what they've been doing for a long time. So I talked with this woman, Deborah Stevenson, who is the lawyer on homeschooling. And the state has gone after, what they do is they pick on, quote, the weak, okay? They pick on somebody they think they can push around. And she's there to tell them otherwise. But the state of Connecticut has done this time and again, where some family will be picked on because they want to homeschool their children. And this is in a state that's supposedly the most open and free when it comes to homeschooling. Baloney. All right. So where am I going with this? We have a system now. We go back, see, anybody who follows the education issue, we are very concerned about how education, public education, is being, quote, dumbed down. We see it in more ways, I didn't bring it upstairs with me, than we care to confront. The first, of course, is declining test scores, but you also have measures of what we'll call cognitive ability. So cognitive ability is the child's ability to concentrate. How long can they read for? Are they able to read a whole book? Are they engaged? Do they really understand what they're reading? And I can tell you right now, across the board, it is all bad news. To have what we'll call the next generation intellectually falling apart like this is not good, okay? We can sit here and say everything's fine for now, but there's going to come a day when this kind of stuff, when we as a society end up paying the piper. Now there's a chance to fight it, and damn well we better fight it. But oh my God. All right. Cognitive ability, measures of that decline have been happening since at least 2010. All right. So we're now, what, 16 years into a period of decline, at least in public education. We should not be surprised that a growing number of parents see this and say, no, I'm taking my child out of this horrible place called the school system, and I'm going to homeschool them. Now, the picture does get a little complicated because you have people who will kind of go into homeschooling, come back, put them back in school, take them out again. It gets interesting and complicated, which will lead to another little thing I'm going to want to bring up. But I guess, I don't know what's going to happen when Jason gets here. Here are the things he'll want to talk about. That's okay. That's okay. But to have the formative layer, that's the term I want to use, the formative layer of our educational system in such bad shape should concern everyone. So that the parents are taking them out is a good sign. In Connecticut, depending upon, all right, so here's the thing. This gets interesting. All right, the total, see, I have to make sure I have these right. Maybe if I put this up here, give me a second, and I'll wrestle with it. Yes. All right, so there's a piece of data that I found off of the state website for education, and it will put this into perspective for you very nicely. Okay, so it should come up soon as I wait patiently. There it is. There it is. Oh, yeah. Okay, here we go. So for you people who are going to follow this, pay attention to this piece of data here. Right now. All right. The way they set up the time scale is a little confusing because you'll see there in the second column 24-25 through 25-26, but then they have October 25-26. I said October of 2025. I have to assume that's what it is. Okay, so now over here, so we're going to take them at face value. So here are the numbers, depending upon where you're talking. Anywhere from, let's say, 487 to 476,000. So is this all students, or is this all students in the public school system? This is the part that would need to be clarified. I think this has to be all the students that are in the public school system, okay? And now, here's the fun part. Chronic absence, in other words, truancy. Look at those numbers. Look at that. All right, out of 490,000 in that time period, what, November 24, 25? Then what, 78,000, 77, 79, 81. So you can see that it ranges between, say, 63,000, 90,000 out of that total student population, giving you a range of 13.3% to 18.5% truancy. That's a lot of kids not being in school when they should be. All right. All right, we'll come back to this in a minute. I want to see if Jason has shown up yet. Jason has not shown up yet. All right, so let's go back to this again. All right. It is my understanding that the number of kids who are being homeschooled would be a number different from this. I'm just not sure if it's correct. It's called Let Me Get Back to You on it. So I'm looking at the woman who's running the homeschooling network in Connecticut. And I said to her, well, you'd put up a number where you said there are about 25,000 families that are homeschooling their children. And she paused and she said, well, that's a conservative number. There's a good chance that it's much bigger. So she was floating the possibility of 30, maybe even 40,000 families in Connecticut, which would give you a homeschooled student population of anywhere from roughly 80,000 to 100,000. That too is a big number. So there's an issue here. Ladies and gentlemen, we cannot be surprised at how Governor Lamont and his blood-sucking minions, especially those blood-sucking bitches in the Connecticut Education Association, have been watching kids leave the school system to be homeschooled and not have them get more and more alarmed. It's not just competition. This is the part that's hard to deal with. It's not just the competition. All right? It's the fact, all right? Jason's still not here. Anyway. All right. This gets me so upset. I have to apologize. Let me think a second. Okay. Part one. As we're told time and again, just to cite some statistics, on average, for the given age group, a homeschooled kid is usually 2 years ahead of their peers. So if you're a fifth grader homeschooled, you're reading and doing math on average at the seventh grade level. That alone should be embarrassing, okay? The fact that so many kids continue to leave is also embarrassing. As one person put it, the real fact that I just gave you this data on truancy, all right? This is just one statistic. We could talk about bullying. We can talk about test scores. I just mentioned cognitive decline, okay? Another thing I haven't talked about here yet, which I was told about today, which blows my mind, teacher abuse. Now, I thought students were abusing teachers, but no, it's the other way around as well. 20% of teachers have engaged in some form of abuse of students. I mean, I'm guessing this is at the lower grades. 20%? So meantime, all right, so the ones that are being abused or have left? All right, here you go, Jason.
I made it.
As usual, you come here right in the middle of my rants when I'm cooking with gas, buddy, but okay.
Oh, I heard a little bit about, I did hear you briefly. You're talking about truancy and Connecticut
Yes.
students not learning, correct? Go ahead. Keep going.
Yeah.
Okay. I have a couple things to say about education, but keep going.
Okay, so I went to the annual conference on homeschooling today in Groton. It was great. The place was packed. I love it. I love it. I love it. It was packed. Yes. Okay.
Hundreds, you mean, or the dozens?
I would say it was probably 100 or so, but
okay.
I was at the conference a couple of years ago and it wasn't quite as big. Look, more crap is happening in these public school systems and the parents are getting fed up and they're saying, I'm done, I'm out, okay? But they're faced with a very difficult challenge. They're not all like mentally ready or have the time to educate the children on their own.
Time or the money.
Yeah, so you have these pop-up homeschool academies that are showing up all over the place, all right?
Great.
Okay, but all of this is part of a larger picture that needs to be understood. And I'll put it to you simple. Dear Governor Asshat Lamont, okay, you signed a bill where now parents are supposed to submit to background checks with who? Who? The DCF? The worst run, most corrupt, lethal agency in the state? DCF?
I call it DDCF. I call it DDCF, the Department of the Death of Children and Families.
Yeah, well, there is that too. But, I learned a little bit more about, shall we say, the nuances of all of this. And it's, so, not all hope is lost. But the point I want to make, the point for Mr. Lamont and all his blood-sucking minions, those blood-sucking bitches in the CEA, newsflash, the horse has left the barn. It's too late. You're not going to be able to stop homeschooling. You're not going to be able to stop the growth of homeschooling. And by the way, when I say the growth of homeschooling, this is something for which we can't even tell yet what it's going to grow into, but it's going to be, as far as I'm concerned,
exponential growth.
Something wonderful. It is going to be beautiful, a beautiful thing. No, it's just like I was sitting there. What was his name? I think his name was Dan. So he's a father. He has a kid there who's in the first grade, and he was showing me some of the things he was teaching his kid in the first grade. And there's this thing they're called the Tuttle Twins. So it's a type of book series. And there's one about the law explained to first graders. So where in the public school system do they explain the law to first graders? Nowhere. Okay. You know, and in addition, and now I'm getting worked out. Okay, so I met this guy, Mr. Reed, R-E-E-D. It's ironic. His name should be R-E-A-D. So he teaches writing and reading. He has his own online program. Again, I left everything downstairs. I'm feeling stupid. And he, I mean, to me, it was amazing. What I learned just sitting there listening to him for an hour, okay? You think of him, the word for him is phlegmatic, okay? He has a phlegmatic personality, very quiet, reserved, not easily excited, okay? But he just goes on. Well, yeah, Evil Empire, I'm so glad you explained the obvious this evening. If you take the time, I'm trying to give you some more interesting information about the crap that's going on. So anyway, Evil Empire, did you catch the thing about truancy? The thing about truancy, it is disgusting.
Well, yeah, I did. And, you know, I think about this. It was during the 1940s that compulsory education began in mass in this country.
I think it was earlier than that.
Well, it happened in local areas, but it was nationwide by the 40s. And that's a hell of a thing. If you think about it.
Well,
we told parents and families that you have to now take your children and ship them on a bus or take them and get them to a government building to spend the entire day, 5 days a week.
All right. So we understand that one of the ulterior motives is to keep the parents working. I mean, at that time, mothers were still at home.
And worse yet, to teach the children that how they see fit, not how a parent might see fit.
Well,
Rockefeller said himself, we're not Nelson Rockefeller, John D. Rockefeller was one of the masterminds that was consulted behind the curriculums in the early education.
Right.
And he basically said that we're training these kids to be workers, not independent thinkers.
Okay, and well, let's trace this even further back to a guy named Horace Mann. Horace Mann was from the mid 1800s, and as the story goes, I don't know who gave him this job, but the idea was to find some kind of concept of a public education system, and he settled on what was then still an existing country called Prussia. So the American public education system as we know today was essentially based upon the Prussian system.
Doesn't sound too good.
No, it doesn't. You're right. And it isn't. And you know, they've tried to adapt in various ways, but at the end of the day, it's been what we see right now. Our entire media, including the schools, have been controlled by the elites. Fine, you can say that, but dude, all right, if they're controlling us, how am I able to sit here and talk about homeschooling? How am I able to talk to you about a conference I had with over 100 parents?
He's not saying they're controlling us. He's saying they're controlling the minds of our children through our
controlling
education.
What? You know, as far as I'm concerned,
our children through our education curriculum, which is crap. That's what he's referring to.
Okay, well, it's more complicated than that. We'll get, so I have the other list. I have my bitching point list tonight. Okay, and on that bitching point list is once again, wow, the Guilford, Connecticut Board of Education is a rat's hole of illegal conduct. These people do not care. Okay, they break the law for their own communistic purposes. Right, and on it goes. And tonight, courtesy of the Connecticut Sentinel, we have another report, which I guess start getting into it now, about how Maura Rader, who's a state representative who served on the Board of Education in Guilford for some time, has been responsible for a 2.5-year delay with respect to implementing Title IX provisions in the Guilford school system. Okay, so 2.5 years, they've dragged their feet and they've allowed this transgender crap to go on. Now, that said, I don't think they have that many boys pretending to girls playing on girls' teams in Guilford.
It's not
There's
a question.
There's one in Old Saybrook that I heard
That's
about.
the argument that the left always makes. Oh, there's only a small number of cases. Well, it's not about the number of cases. It's about the principle of it.
Yes,
and it can only grow. Right. You're promoting it, so it'll only grow in time. So
that's right. Well, the medical college is all over discussion. Right now, we're talking about education, which is bad enough. It feeds into that. I get it.
Yeah, they're related.
Okay. So, all right. So, talking about Maura, talking about the Guilford Board of Education violating federal law for 2.5 years. Meantime, I mean, I'm sure they'll get dragged into it. All right, I'm just gonna. I know I'm all over the place tonight. I'm sorry. All right. The Greater Education Council of Connecticut has had a letter for some time now that we sent to the State Department of Education. We sent it to the Guilford Board of Education, the superintendent, and we even sent it to a friend of ours who's in the U.S. Department of Education, such as it is, whatever's left of it. And in this letter, we had listed 6 things where we felt that based on our research, that the Guilford Board of Education was in violation. That included 6 Connecticut statutes and 1 federal law. Mm-hmm. Now, I'm not sure if the federal law we identified was the same as the one with respect to Title IX. But it's interesting, we found stuff and we're saying this is ridiculous what these people are doing. Okay? Mm-hmm. All right. So.
And no response, right?
Oh yeah, of course, no response. But that doesn't mean we're supposed to stop. It's like I got distracted. Okay, I got distracted, and it's kind of like, where do you go from here? We could make, we could still do these things. One of the things that's been one of our strengths with GECC has been to make videos on various issues. That's worked out pretty well. But then you make them. But now the other thing is you got to think in terms of you've created this stuff, and there's the whole marketing promotion thing that I suck at, and a few other people might suck at, is what really needs serious attention as far as
from marketing standpoint. For me, I've always said I suck at getting the people in the room, but once the people are in the room, I'm great.
Okay, that's fine. Well, but
let's get the people to answer. It's the cold call thing that
I don't think it's just cold calling. I mean, it's understanding the whole system.
Like when I was a kid, right? The chicks would always most chicks would I don't know about this guy. They'd be turned off by me. But then the few that actually took the time to look deeper fell in love every time.
That's what it looks to you.
Well, okay. It's the same thing here. It's the same thing what I'm saying with this issue. It's about the motivation as well. Okay.
All right. So I'm going to put up the bitching points. Yeah, here. I want to put up the bitching points so we get to that. It's so frustrating, and you just feel like you're really getting nowhere. I mean, you inform people. So what happens is at the end of the day, it comes down to what are you going to do, right? You can complain to others, but if it's about education, it's going to be, what are you going to do? All right. So in my case, when I was fighting Common Core, I said, I'll stop cursing in the dark since I'm going to light a candle. So when I taught, science after school for 5 years to kids in Greenwich. So that was a much, better approach. Okay. So I'm there to neutralize whatever crap.
There's a book that I've been seeing advertised on TV lately. It's called Kids Fight. It's a website called kidsfightsocialism.com, and it's a book.
Huckabee has been, the sales.
Yeah, he's similar to what Huckabee's doing. Yeah, so I'm going to buy it for my grandchildren. It's for Christmas this year. So,
well, that and more. I mean, it's a nice sort of colorful, interesting thing. But there's anyway. Okay.
You gotta fight it on every front. So,
all right. So I bitched about truancy in the schools. So a general point that I want to add to that's kind of related to Lamont's idiocy in education is
See, we keep giving him a pass like he's just dumb.
Well,
I
you
don't think
know,
he's dumb at all. I think he's doing a great job of overseeing the communist takeover of the state. And we need to recognize that he's Darth Vader. He's not a dumb man. He doesn't become governor by being dumb. He becomes governor
well,
by
I don't know.
manipulative
There's
and
some things he
conniving
could handle better.
and duplicitous.
I'm sure.
But okay, go ahead.
So Lamont's right. The point I want to make here is that we need to pay attention to the fact that the Connecticut public education system continues to fall apart. Okay, looking at looking at test scores alone is not enough. I'd mentioned this stuff about cognitive decline. The other thing we didn't talk about, and this is going to pick up on the lame Hartford Current article, is that nationally there's a recognition. See, there was a book titled Digital Delusion, and it's an analysis of how these Chromebooks and tablets and iPads and all this stuff have not helped kids learn. And if anything, they've been counterproductive in terms of their ability to learn. One of the big problems, so the way they think about it is screen time. Time you spend staring at the screen, which is supposedly related to learning. Not true. What they see, the nature of learning, especially when it comes to reading, is you need time. You're reading a book, okay? Maybe you haven't learned speed reading yet, but you're reading the book, you're reading at your pace, and you're absorbing the information, and that's how you're learning, okay? You're not supposed to jump from one task to the next, because that's what happens with the screens. It's like when you watch TV. Let me give you a simple exercise next time we're watching TV. Look at the ceiling rather than at the screen, okay? Watch the ceiling.
Happens every morning at about 4:30.
Yeah, okay. Well, watch the ceiling.
Okay.
Watch the ceiling instead of the screen, and watch how quickly the colors change, because that's when another scene happens. We become accustomed to, oh, so there's Bobby and Jane. We got a close up on Bobby. Boom. Now we're going to have a close up on Jane. Boom. Now we're going to pull back and the two of them. Boom. Now another close up on Bobby. Okay. And every few seconds, a shift, jump, 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 jump. Not good for your brain. Okay. Your brain actually adapts. The synapses in your brain adapt for quick, short-term information rather than to be able to process information over a long period of time. All right. And this,
I guess C-SPAN must be the best channel to watch then if you want to avoid this.
I don't know about that. So in any event, with kids sitting in front of the screens with these rapid changes, or what you might call task switching, perhaps, they lose the ability to think, right? This is where you see the cognitive decline, the fast task switching. But somehow the people who like Google, who concocted the use of these Chromebooks for education, were thinking along those lines, because that's kind of how they roll. And now we're beginning to discover that this was a bad idea, a very expensive, bad idea. Okay, so let me give you an example. I happened to pick up this weekend's copy of the Hartford Current, and the front page article was about a school that is charting a new path in how kids learn. Oh, really? A new path, you say? Tell us about this new path. So, as the story goes, in the Windsor public school system, they're making a big deal out of this early learning program, where the way they put it in the article, they increase play, they call play-learn time for little children, and they reduce screen time. And they call this a big innovation. For how many thousand years have little kids been learning by playing? How many thousand years? I don't know. Maybe 100,000, something like that.
Since the beginning.
Okay. And then they're talking like this is a big deal. This is stupid. This is, I mean, this is the worst example of how
Oh, at
people
least it's a movie.
criticize social sciences when they say all you're doing is proving the obvious.
Well, how they're classifying it is lame, but maybe at least it's going in the right direction, giving to kids less screen time.
Yes, it's going in the right. It's almost like they're trying to cover themselves.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. They're not admitting that they made a stupid mistake.
Kind of like they're doing with Biden, the way Biden was completely out of
I
his head.
guess. I know.
Same kind of thing.
Okay. All right. So it was, I mean, I'm going to be ripping this article a new one because it is so, just so phenomenally stupid. Yeah.
Hey.
All right. You going to bed?
Yeah.
Then a little early, 9:30. Yeah. All right. We're good. Or maybe he's working.
Behind you, man.
There he goes. Okay. So the, so good. I mean, even though it's a backhanded compliment because they're avoiding telling the truth about these things. At least they're realizing that they've made a big mistake and they're starting to correct this thing. I mean, the other part that's an example is you'll hear me bitch and moan a lot about something called core knowledge. Now, there's a guy named E.D. Hirsch who is really an underappreciated intellect, I guess you could say, when it comes to education. He, in the late 90s, he wrote a book called Cultural Literacy. And the argument for cultural, I mean, so what the book did, it was like it's supposed to be a compact summary of all the things that everybody should know as part of the nation, right? Every community, every society, every group, it identifies with each other based upon common knowledge, shared knowledge. All right. You think back to the early days. I mean, what we did is part of shared knowledge is when people get together the next day and talk about what they saw on TV, right? They talk about all the funny parts and some of the shows and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, that's been replaced, of course, by what we have with the internet. And of course, with the internet, what we watch has become a lot more scattered. Maybe you could talk about, gee, what I watched on Fox News. I don't know. But
yeah, I think when you look at integrity and truth and information that we're taking in as a country in the news,
yeah,
you really have to point to the onset of the internet as a real turning point.
mm-hmm.
Since the internet became public in the late 1990s, that has opened the door for a lot of lies to get out there and look like truth.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't really have before that so much on regular. They would lie, but they would sort of do it in a more clandestine way.
Okay, but the opposite is true as well. I mean, the internet has been the means by which a lot of, quote, truth has gotten out. Controversial.
Absolutely. The internet is probably the biggest devil and angel together that you could think of. Really.
That's right. That's right. And where's Ricky when we need him? So, because he'd be jumping all over that. All right. So when Democrats
put down before he comes on.
Yeah. So meantime, here, let me just check and see if he's anybody there. Nope, nobody there. But okay, we'll keep it this way. All right. Would Democrats lie about the truth? So this was another Connecticut Sentinel article today. So Ryan Fazio has jumped on one of the typical things that you need to do. See, look at how they can't even, pushing is a good word there. I could tell you, you know what, I'm going to get back to this, and I want to jump on what Evil Empire said there. That is, yes.
There's a lot of stuff out there today about how everybody knows now that it's coming out more and more that Chris Shea was just put there as a plant to stop the Barrows.
Yeah. Well, so in the meantime, I haven't heard anything from Jonathan. I mean, he shouldn't take this lying down.
No, I know.
All right. So there's that whole thing. Yeah. All right. Anyway, what was I going to start talking about? The article in the Connecticut Sentinel about Ryan Fazio having ads now where he has Democrats saying they're going to vote for Fazio and not Lamont. It's a standard trade. It's a standard campaign.
I told you right here in this program a month ago that Fazio is going to be the next governor of Connecticut. I'm telling you right now, he's going to win the election.
It's entirely. I'm not saying no. It's just that there's so much stuff. Anyway,
I'm predicting it now.
All
right. Everyone's going to go, yay! We have our guy, and we flipped Connecticut red, yay! And it's not going to mean donkey donk.
Well, not necessarily. I mean, all right. So if he's going to
voting record,
yeah, okay, the voting record, yeah, all right.
He's not a reformer. That's the problem.
All right. Well, you know what? I feel then like we have to make noise about how he cannot allow himself to be snookered by these people like he has in the past. He's got to grow a spine.
Mm-hmm.
He's got to grow a spine.
Gotta grow a spine.
All right. So that's it. All right. So then the Democrats jumped on these ads that he was doing because he did not identify. It was they misinterpreted the way he identified the Democrats in the ad. There were 6 people. 3 of them were identified as Democrats. 3 were not. And so they wanted to make it seem like the ones who were not identified as Democrats, he lied about them as being Democrats, and that's not true. So the Democrats were lying instead.
That's not a surprise.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, now Evil Empire is a man after my heart here. Yes, Thomas Sowell, Inside American Education. And not just him, Iserbite. Okay, Ms. Iserbite, The Dumbing Down of America, she wrote in the 80s. Huge book. So the decline, the deception, the dogmas. Hey, you're stealing some of my title ideas here. So anyway, okay, so this kind of stuff we should expect to see going on with them in the coming months. They're going to try and concoct other things, all in an effort to confuse and divert us, when in fact you and me and others have a responsibility to keep poking the Democrats about all the different ways in which they misrepresent things.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Oh, that was not, I didn't hear a lot of conviction in that.
Across the board.
All right. And I did mention Guilford Board of Education. Anyway, so now I'm going to jump on.
When you talk about the Guilford Board of Education, let's understand something.
Yes.
They're not alone. There are a lot of other corrupt local boards of educations around Connecticut right now that are doing similar things.
Right. So the thing was that the Guilford Board of Education is a special case, and I'll explain. Only because we've been focused on them for so long. Here's what happened. In 2021, there was an election for the Board of Education, and within the Republican Party, there was a split, and you had the usual conservatives versus rhinos inside the Guilford Republican Town Committee. In this case, the conservatives won the slate. So there were 5 conservative candidates running for the Connecticut Board of Education. Now comes the sneaky part, and it sucks. The moderates who were running for the Board of Education and got rejected by their own Republicans in the Republican Town Committee turned around and made common cause with the Democrats by forming what was called the Independent Guilford Party. Okay? Mm-hmm. And so I don't know how they pulled it off, but the point is that those who were who ran on the Independent Guilford Party ticket for the Board of Education, which would have been the moderate Republican members, Democrats voted for them, and as a result, they won the seats that should have gone to the conservative Republicans from the Republican Town Committee. Mm-hmm. Rotten trick. Okay. And I'm sitting there going, I don't understand this because this is not how the state laws are supposed to work.
Well, this dovetails to the larger issue that we find myself arguing about on Facebook all the time and on YouTube as well.
Yeah. Yes.
About now that the primaries are over, we're all supposed to unite and fight the Democrats as Republicans, and you get a lot of sentiment about that. Mm-hmm. And I'm just not gonna. I feel like, and then you feel like you're not part of the team if you don't unite. And the problem is, our party, the Republican Party, has been compromised.
All right. So as far as I'm concerned, the only thing to bitch about are the issues. Okay. So it's not just the Republican Party, but we have to keep reminding them these are the things that are important. These are the things you need to pass. These are the things you're going to need to see put into law if there's the opportunity to do it.
Well, I'm talking about getting the opportunity to do so. I'm talking about winning some elections here in November, and we're not gonna win any, except the ones that are, well established already.
Right.
And the thing is that they have us in it by putting a corrupt imposter chairman in our party and having a committee of corruption. Our party's been compromised. It's really just another wing of, as you know, it's a uniparty. It's just another wing of the Democratic Party in disguise. And we can't. And the idea that we are all going to unite behind that, like Chris Lancia and Amy Chai, they're not going to win.
Mm-hmm.
Chris Shay's not going to win. These guys. I mean, so John DeBarros would have won.
Well, you know what?
Hayes. And so
I want to remind you,
we can't unite with imposters. We must have I talked about Civil War the other day.
Mm-hmm.
Forget about that for a minute. Just within the Republican Party in the state of Connecticut, we need to have a little civil war. We need to oust these corrupt people, starting with Proto and not Hoxha, but these thugs that are around him, like what's his name, Joe Massaro, and I could go on and on. These guys are all a bunch of people that have literally come and taken hostage of our party and have no interest in conservatism. And they're really communists that are willing to do whatever it takes, or socialists, or whatever they are. They're not conservatives, Court.
I get that.
They're thwarting us. So how do we can't, to me, when you're someone like Jenny and these other people I've been talking with online, we have to unite. We have to unite. I'd love to unite. We can't, in principle, unite with, people that aren't, or we have to like oust these people somehow. And I don't know how to, and it goes back to taking over RTCs and whatnot again, but there's not enough people that are, because even people that would normally, I've had people that are on my side and totally think like I do, but then as soon as the primary is over, like, well, now it's time to unite. I mean, what, unite to lose?
Well, you still have to put pressure on, on
Democrats. We still have to put pressure on Democrats. I get that.
Right. So there are two different ways. See, they are demon rats who infiltrated the party. Yeah, we know about this. Well, it's not that here. Wait, for Evil Empire, I want to offer a slightly different perspective here, which you still kind of end up in the same place, but it's different.
Like people should be picketing, like the state central committee meetings. Like people should be picketing those things. There should be protests.
Okay. All right. This is you in a box, in a room, in a basement, all alone. Okay.
Don't make it about me again.
Okay.
It's not about me. It's about more public.
How many people are ready to go out and picket State Central? Seriously.
Well, that's the kind of thing that needs to happen, though.
And that's only going to happen if everybody takes the time and trouble to learn and understand. Okay. And we're not seeing
what we're working on here, and which is what we're working on, but it's not really getting anywhere, is it?
Well, we're not working that hard, quite frankly.
When I ran against Ben, that's when I met you that night. When I ran against Ben, there was like hardly, there was nobody from the public there. But in the days leading up to that election, I heard there was going to be truckers and all these people. Nobody came.
No. I don't know where they got that crap from. But
anyway, I heard that stuff. I heard rumors that there was going to be people coming and
all right, first let me just
filling up the parking lot, but nobody came. Right. Only very few people came.
Evil Empire's on a roll here. This is funny. Dude, yeah, his last comment is, I've got plenty of ammunition. Okay.
Yeah, but why isn't a guy like Proto, who's such a thug and an imposter? Why is there not more, I guess people need to know more about it. Why isn't there more pressure on this guy to get the hell out of here? Even if we grant you that he's doing a bad job and he means well, that should still be enough to lose your job based on the lack of performance. Like, it's the whole thing is such a racket.
The sad truth is that we have to be willing to do what Proto did. Twist arms, push people around, threaten and intimidate people. We have to be willing to do those things.
Well, twist arms, yeah, I don't know about threaten and intimidate, but twist arms, yeah.
Oh, that would be on the list, yes. And so here.
Well, you know what, Court? In the days leading up to the battles of Lexington and Concord, after the Intolerable Acts, there was a lot of pressure on good people that they were dragged out of their house and pretty much told, you're going to come fight. It wasn't all volunteer. There was a little bit of an informal draft that went on there too.
Who, the British or the Americans?
No, the Americans. We went door to door. He said, here's your musket. You're coming with us. We got to take on the British. You're coming with us, pal. It wasn't all most of it was voluntary, but they went door to door. And
No, I never heard that one.
Oh wow. Yeah, no, it's true. It's true. Massachusetts, it's true, and in New Jersey.
Right. Okay, so
not everybody went marching willingly. There was a lot of pressure to participate.
All right.
That's what we have to do here.
You'll come back to this, but I still wanted to pick up on a point that Evil Empire brought up about education, which was, where did he put? Yes, there it is. Look at how they're pushing kids through our school systems. They can't even read. That is absolutely correct. And let me tell you how. We have a spy. We have several spies in the system. One of the spies works in the Guilford public school system, and she described how it's standard practice to take kids and just, quote, push them through. Okay. If they're not passing a test, change the test until they can pass it. In other words, you keep actually lowering the standards of the test they're giving at the moment until the kid, quote, passes, where passing would be a failing grade under any other normal circumstances, yet somehow he passed. So that Evil Empire is an example of how they're pushing kids through the school system.
You know, another way they do it is as soon as they catch the slightest wind that a kid's having a little bit of trouble or feeling a little down in the dumps or whatever, they'll put them what they call a low standard protocol, and they basically take the same curriculum, but they don't make them do any tests, they don't make them do any homework. Right. They just let them give them the books and pass them. That's it. There's nothing. I mean, they do that to. Right. They tried to do that with my own daughter when she was. This was years ago. This is right. Almost 15 years ago. They tried to do it with her, and I said, "No way." Mm-hmm. The parent has to sign off on it, but at the time, that's what the kind of crap they do.
Right. Yeah, I'm in Jersey. I know. Yeah. Well, what can we say? It is. Let's see. Okay. Again, for all the depressing things that we're talking about, the growth of the homeschooling movement gives me hope. Okay.
Yeah, and you know what? Getting back to the fixing the Republican Party too, because that all dovetails into education. When we have a real opposition party, maybe this is what we should do. Maybe this is where the rubber meets the road. Maybe we should come up with a pamphlet that list that is very carefully thought out. One of those unfolding 3-1s where you have 6 different sides, and it could list all the threats that we're facing and what we're trying to do, and then literally get just 3 or 4 volunteers in each town just to go door to door.
All right.
Don't worry about the voter rolls. I don't care if you're a Democrat. And you know what the premise is? You go to door with these pamphlets, not as a Republican or a Democrat, just as a concerned citizen to talk about what we're worried about. And nobody likes it. I'm sure there's even registered Democrats. They don't like communism. Regular people don't like that. So you just go door to door. They've gone so far left. We should be able to convince people and just go right to where the road meets the road. Well, all you need is about a half a dozen volunteers in each town. That's the hard part. Half a dozen volunteers in each town.
All right. It's some parents, parents being lazy is not the issue. The parents having to hold down a job or 2 jobs.
Yeah.
Okay. And having their kid in school. Now, all of a sudden, they're going to take the child out and they're going to educate him while they're holding down the job. Look, I met a mother just like this the other day, sitting in a place getting my tires fixed. And there's this woman with this young girl named Ellie who is in the 4th grade. And so I started talking to her about homeschooling. And, she's a single parent. There's the first strike against her. Yeah. And, she acknowledges it's important for her daughter to get a good education, but she's not in a good position to do it.
That's why the growth of these community homeschooling centers are going to be helpful for someone like her.
Yeah. No, and so, so I sent her I got her email, sent her a bunch of information. Hopefully that will, get her a little bit more interested. And yes, so I think when the case is made to parents of how horrible these school systems are and how it's ruining the child's education.
And not just ruining their education.
You want your child to have a bad education? Seriously.
And understand something. The public school system isn't just a bad education. It's potentially dangerous for kids now. Do have to be mutilated or be, it's a dangerous place. I consider most, not all, but most Connecticut public schools to be dangerous places for kids to go today. It's not just about bad grades anymore.
Well, that I had mentioned earlier, the stuff about teachers abusing students. Mm-hmm. So that's an example, yes.
And the promotion of transgenderism, not just the dealing with it, but promotion of genital mutilation.
Right. So the transgenderism is what I'll call a hot button issue.
It's like a bad science fiction movie, Court.
Yeah, but its impact is overrated. Okay, you have these people making a big deal out of it. But in terms of day-to-day functioning in the school system, it's still a tiny percentage.
It's still, I don't care if it's just one. Okay, just one. You take one kid, mutilate them. That's too many. Okay, just one.
Sure.
That's an issue
Okay.
for me.
But so the other part that is really annoying, of course, is that they all right, end up spending all this time and energy on nonsense, and they don't pay attention to what's really needed in education. So that there's all this transgenderism crap only contributes to the dumbing down. That continues to decline in scores of
I think it's the biggest threat.
ability.
I think it's one of the big. I think the transgender thing is one of the biggest threats to our families and our culture ever.
As a concept, but
Well, we had traditionally 1 to 3% of the people identify as transgender or gay. Now that number is up to 7%.
I would question that.
So that's been pretty well established from some of the stuff I've looked at.
Okay, but part of the problem is
just
that
over the last 15, 20 years, it's gone up.
there
Yeah,
are
they're
are
promoting it in our
social,
schools. They're
no,
promoting it in our schools. They're going up to healthy kids and promoting it.
there are
That's sickening.
perceived social benefits by saying I'm transgender. Kids can get out of trouble with a teacher by saying I'm transgender.
That's part of
All
the
right.
promotion of it.
Okay, well, no, what promotion? They're just
They're going up
using
to-
it.
they're
That
going
doesn't
up
mean they are.
They're going up to kids they're going up to normal, healthy kids, and they're teaching them, hey, if you feel like a woman, it's okay. If you feel like you're a man, they're promoting it. They used to go up to kids. A kid would approach a teacher and sound confused, and they would deal with that. Now they're going up to healthy kids and promoting it.
I'm questioning how much they do that.
They do it. I know for a fact they do it. I've heard parents complain about it.
Yes, but how much?
First-hand information on that one.
Going after every kid in the school, that would get them in real trouble.
Well, they're doing class. They are promoting it. They are. It is real trouble. It is very much like that. That's why That's why now people are polling at 7% now instead of 2 and 3% like it used to be. That number is now.
I just told you that part of the reason is because you have this social structure now, where you get a pass with the teacher if you say you're transgender.
That's right, and that's part of
that's different. That doesn't mean that you are. You're just abusing it. You're using it.
I get that, but that's a major cultural crisis in my opinion. You know how teenagers are. You take little skulls full of mush, and you put this transgender crap into their heads. It's going to isolate them from their families. It's going to, even if they're faking it, like you're saying, they're going to fake it because it gives them privileges or whatever. You know, the local grocery store I go to, this is about a year ago, so I'll say it isn't like that now so much, but about a year ago, there was like 6 or 7 employees in there working. They're all kids, and 4 of them were cross-dressing. 4 out of 7 in the store. I was like, I couldn't believe it. So it is an issue, and it affects their education. It dovetails to what you're saying. It just distracts them from what they really should be learning in school as part of it. So.
Yeah. All right. Then, but supported by mentally ill parents. So that there would be some.
That's true too.
Parents that shouldn't have
parents
children.
aren't totally not to blame here either.
That too. But in my travels, I mean, just like at the conference today, those are all parents who cared about their children a lot, and they're determined to get them homeschooled. I saw a lot of them.
That's good.
I doubt that they are what you would call mentally ill.
Who knows? Not these parents. Not the ones that showed up at the event.
No.
How many more events do we have? Are there more of these planned?
Well, the problem, all right, they could do more if they wanted to. And I think it's not clear to me. So this is part of what I don't have a feel for yet. So let me give you an example. They had a whole big room in there in which they were quote selling, because you could take it if you wanted, but they'd like donations, selling used curriculum. Okay, so kids, material for second graders, but now their kids are in the 6th grade, so they don't need the 2nd grade material anymore. Now they like to pass it on to somebody else.
Kind of like hand-me-down clothes.
Okay. Yeah. But the hand-me-downs are pretty good. There's some well-respected types of books, Singapore math, Saxon math, and other things that are good quality, but they don't need them, and here they are. And I'm looking at this and going, this really seems kind of scattershot. You're looking around the room. It's like a messy library, which things have just been thrown on the floor almost. and it's not organized by grade. It's not organized by topic. It's not organized in any way whatsoever.
Mm-hmm.
And so you're just kind of supposed to pick through it, and if by luck you'll find what you need, and it needs to be better than that. But this raises the bigger question. So these parents decide they're going to homeschool their children. Well, anybody can get on the internet and start to research what's out there, and there's a lot of good stuff to choose from. Yet, it still seems like there's some kind of a need. I mean, if she's put out all this material, parents are looking for things. So whatever it is they're looking, now finding it online for some reason, I don't know. So the question is, what support, what information do homeschooling parents need? That's the big question. And I don't have an answer, but I'm standing in a room, looking at all these books scattered around, I'm saying there's a need here and it's not being addressed properly. That's my opinion of that in any event. So, yeah, and this because as this community continues to grow, in my mind at least, this issue, or it's the pop-up academies are one answer. People get together, share resources. Some people find things that others can't. They put it together. Good. But I just feel like something else is missing. Something more is needed in terms of making this whole system work in some kind of smooth fashion. Anyway.
Well, I find a lot of events people go to, we get together, everybody talks a lot about how all these things we have to do, and then everybody goes home, and it doesn't seem to all coalesce always, like action.
Right. So I just want to respond to another comment from Evil Empire here. I believe this has been caused by Big Pharma. They peddle all these brain-scrambling drugs and vaccines in birth. This needs to be looked into.
He's right. 100% on that one. Mr. Evil Empire, 100%. Pharmaceuticals are not helping us, generally speaking.
Okay, I'm going to generally agree with that. But you still have kids who, all right, I don't want to say,
some of the kids.
What?
It's a problem. It's a contributing factor to for some of the children, not all the children, obviously, but for some of them.
Okay, the first point is that especially homeschooling parents are becoming more and more aware about the problems with these things. So the very idea that their kid is going to be drugged up is going to be at the expense of a huge battle by the parents. Mm-hmm. These parents, the homeschooling parents. And then in addition, I mean, the vaccine issue, I'm not quite sure where to put that right now. Connecticut is, in a messy state here because first they took away the religious exemption. Meantime, the federal government changed the vaccine schedule. Then the State Department of Health in Connecticut says, screw you, we're going to come up with our own vaccine rules. Mm-hmm. And it is an unholy mess. All right.
Keep your kid out of the doctor's office. I think there are certain vaccines that that most people should have, but for the most part,
well, for example, the hepatitis B vaccine, quite simply, we do not need that. There is we don't have hepatitis B epidemics or pandemics in this country. So what are you doing? It's in China. They've got a huge problem with hepatitis B. Over 200 million people have hepatitis B in China. We don't have that problem here. So why are you giving them the vaccine? Mm-hmm. It doesn't make any sense. And now we have evidence that there is a correlation between the hepatitis B vaccine and autism. Didn't hear that discussion very much.
No, they don't want to bring. That's something you won't hear on Eyewitness News.
Yeah, or any place, but there it is. So I'm just, all right. My reaction would be when you come out with information like this, there should be a red flag that goes up, tells all the states, stop administering, stop demanding, stop expecting the hepatitis B vaccine to be used. There's no benefit, and there's evidence of harm, so don't do it.
I believe in freedom of choice for parents all the way. Mm-hmm. But with that, I'm going to have to let you go. I'm going to have to go to bed. But listen, I got another quiz for you. Ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
All right. This is, we don't have 2 to go this time. We don't have Eric here with us tonight, but I am a person, okay? This is a person. Are you ready?
All right. That narrows it down, yes.
A state capital is named after me.
Ooh. Okay, wow. Hold on, not so fast. All right, I need the next clue.
You're going to get it on the next one. I am the first U.S. president born in a log cabin.
Oh, thank you, Lincoln.
Nope, not Lincoln.
Lincoln was
No,
not
there's
the
no
first
state
one
cap- there's
born
no
in the
state cap-
log.
There's no state capital called Lincoln.
Nebraska.
That's not the capital of Nebraska, I don't believe, is it?
What is the capital of Nebraska then?
Oh, maybe it is Lincoln. Okay, no, it's not Lincoln though.
Oh boy.
Third one, I know Davy Crockett.
But wait, that has been the goal. Okay.
State capital is named after me. I am the first U.S. president born on a log cabin, and I know Davy Crockett.
Wait, they're talking about Jackson, Andrew Jackson.
Yes, Andrew Jackson. Ding, 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 ding. You got it.
I got one for once, but
you got one. The other two was, despite my name, I don't belong on a famous five. To a famous five, and my picture appears on a $20 bill. That would have been the giveaway.
Yes, it would.
All right, before I go though, I want to talk about one thing.
Yes.
The Boston Red Sox.
Yes.
Update. You ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. I am now equating this Boston Red Sox season to a cheesy romantic Disney movie.
This is your contribution? Yes. Okay.
The team was terrible. They were the worst team in baseball.
When?
This year, until June. At some point in June.
Yep.
One of the players.
What do you mean? What some point in June? You know what happened? They got a new manager.
They were the worst team in baseball.
Yes, and you were complaining, and they got a new manager.
They got a new manager. They were still the worst team in baseball until late June. And late June, this is my theory. One of the players ran into a genie.
Yeah.
And the genie told the player that, and the player has a girlfriend too. And the genie told the player that as long as he treats his girl right, that he will cast a magic spell on the Red Sox and they'll become the best team in the league. And they did. After June 25th, they became the very best team in baseball. They won, as we know, 15 games in a row. They won another 9 games in a row. They won 32 out of 36 games.
There was that game against the Dodgers. Remember?
They swept the Dodgers 3 straight.
Yeah, I watched that game 8-5.
Yeah, they won 9 games in a row, 50. All right, and they kept winning. They were unbeatable. And then what happened was this one player was supposed to show up and meet this girl on a special date, and he didn't show up. And he offended the genie, and the genie broke the spell. And now the Red Sox are the worst team in the league again. For the last week and a half, they've been the worst team in the league again. They're terrible, and they're still in a playoff position, but they're sinking.
I see. Yeah. Well, we've seen.
And then what has to happen in this Disney movie is the man has to go make up to the girl and give her a big kiss, and then the genie will be happy, and the Red Sox can win the World Series. So that's what.
All right, and then he says, "I'm a Phillies fan." It's like watching the live version of the definition of his.
Well, though, it really is it's like I've never seen a team be so bad and then so good and then so bad again. It's crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah.
But anyway, all right. So listen, I'll be back on Thursday night.
Yeah. All right.
All right.
I have to do what I can in the meantime.
We'll get we have Eric Ephraim.
Oh, by the way, I didn't tell you.
A little bit if I can.
Well, I'll have to tell you. Eric has had a serious issue, and I'll have to tell you about it offline.
Okay. I think I know a little bit about it. All right, tomorrow we can talk about it. Yeah, I'll call you.
Okay. Right.
The other thing